Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot session today, October 30th, 2024. It's a beautiful day and a wonderful evening. Let's give a shout out to everyone in the chat. Good to see you, Foundations. Much love, Lisa. Good to see you, Gandhi. Much love, Hollerhaint. Atma, great to see you. Lilith, much love. Good to see you, Leslie. Mission Mez, good to see you. Jeremy, much love. D Love, good to see you. Valerie, good to see you. Christy, much love. Good morning, Taz. Thank you guys for joining. Love seeing you all. Good turnout. All right, let's start off by talking a bit about our astrology. We are in the moon in Libra. Moon in Libra, that beautiful energy of seeking balance, the scales of justice of Ma'at, right? Beautiful, powerful energy. It's that striving for flow, striving for connection, bridging the gap between Virgo and Scorpio. Powerful, powerful energy. And such a beautiful time when we can really connect with others and learn to communicate and learn to be in flowing, loving connection. And with the sun in Scorpio, we can truly take a risk. We can do what we desire. We can see things with that cutting edge and we can make the necessary changes needed. Powerful energy indeed. All right. We're now going to talk briefly about the title. Join the chorus, rise and soar. This comes from this morning. I was meditating and I pulled the Fool card. The Fool card. Dionysus, that energy of just rebirth, renewal, taking that leap. And this really connected when I was meditating to the previous tarot reading. We had that death energy as one of the defining energies. And this is reminding as we come out of that death, as we let things go, that we jump into new life. We take that leap and we pursue and we move and flow in harmony. And we become part of something greater than ourselves. We connect to that universal tapestry. We rise to the occasion. We follow our passion. You know, Dionysus is that chorus leader, is that one who waves the thyrsus, is the one who lights the way. And there's a powerful energy to flow, to change, and to embrace the new. All right. So let us now, actually, I want to read you guys a poem. So this poem is called Hymn of Pan by Percy Shelley. Goes. From the forests and highlands we come. From the river-girt islands where loud waves are dumb, listening to my sweet pipings, the wind in the reeds and the rushes, the bees on the bells of time, the birds on the myrtle bushes, the cicale above in the lime, and the lizards below in the grass were as silent as ever old Tmolus was, listening to my sweet pipings. Liquid Peneus was flowing, and all dark Tempe lay, in Pelion's shadows outgrowing the light of the dying day, speeded by my sweet pipings. The Seleni and Sylvans and Fawns, and the nymphs of the woods and the waves, to the edge of the moist river lawns, and the brink of the dewy caves, and all that did then attend and follow, were silent was love, as you now, Apollo, with envy of my sweet piping. I sang of the dancing stars, I sang of the daedal earth, and of heaven and the giant wars, and love and death and birth, and then I changed my pipings, singing now how down the vale of Menelaus I pursued a maiden and clasped the reed. Gods and men, we are all deluded thus. It breaks in our bosom, and then we bleed. All wept, as I think both ye now would, if envy or age had not frozen your blood, at the sorrow of my sweet pipings. Going through the full cycles, transforming and embracing that all, flowing with the song and being a part, listening and engaging, right? You cannot escape that cycle of life. You cannot escape the darker aspects. And Pan is it all, good and bad and sorrowful. And he must be experienced and confronted. His song must be heard. Right? Wow. Beautiful. Okay. We are now going to go to our Ganapati oracle. Ganesha Ganapati is the Lord of beginnings, the divine child, the guardian of the threshold, and the master of the Ganas. And we ask them to send us an inspiring message and to ensure that our words are heard by those who need to hear them. So, Lord Ganapati, what is the message? All right. Today's message is belonging. Belonging. And look, Dionysus is riding upon his mount, moving forward in that generation. Belonging, being a part of that chorus, being a part of something greater, recognizing that you must harmonize with that natural world, that you must find your voice and lend it to the song that's greater than your own. Because both the one and the many are true. Both are true. And there's a greater purpose, there's a greater flow. And that belonging is so important. You know, the belonging, the love is what connects us, it what drives us, it what sustains us. Right? So embrace that loving energy, connect to others, belong, and be a part. All right. We are now going to go to our sortes proper. And today we are going to begin with The White Goddess by Robert Graves. For those of you unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is, divination through literature, and it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the goddesses of inspiration, the divine muses, and we ask them to guide our hand and to send us a message through the text. So, muses, what is the inspiring message from Robert Graves and the White Goddess? All right. The earth turns, so night follows day. When lived the renowned Erquif, chief of baptism, Erquilf said, he did not take account of death. The shield of Morde by him was broken. Erquilf placed in order, impetuous, frantic, 4 columns of equal height, red gold upon them, a work not easily to be believed. Easily believed it will not be. The heat of the sun did not vex him. None went nearer heaven than he went. Erquilf, the wall breaker, thou art beneath the sand. May the Trinity give thee a merciful day of judgment. Oh, wow. This is intense. Marwanad Erquilf. I'm probably saying that terribly wrong. But this is ancient British. The earth turns, so night follows day. Night follows day. And that also means that day follows night. We have to go to the depths. The alchemists understood this, and this is something that always tends to shock people. Even Jung writes about this, right? In order to get to the other side, you have to go to the, when you go to these extremes, you wind up seeing the other pole because these poles tend to wrap around in a circle. The energies tend to come back. And one way to experience the most intense divinity is to experience the most intense horror, So earth turns, so night follows day and day follows night as the cycles go. When lived the renowned Erquilf, chief of baptism. When did he live, the chief of baptism? And those who know this baptism, if you look into it, baptizo, it comes from the Greek stem, bapzo, which means to die, to die. Originally, this was about you would dip fabric into these vats and you would stain them with a certain color. Again, we're dealing with these drug rights. Eric Wolf said he did not take account of death. He did not take account of death because he understood his immortality. He knew his race was of starry heaven, right? The shield of Morday by him was broken. He broke the shield of Morday, right? Eric Wolf placed in order, right? He beat his enemies. He defeated, he crashed them. He placed things in order. He built 4 columns of equal height. He made his foundation, right? Red gold upon them. And this honored that great mother energy in the red and gold and in the pillars, in the building of that city, right? A work not easily to be believed. Easily believed it will not be. The heat of the sun did not vex him. None were nearer heaven than he went. Eric Wolf, the wall breaker, thou art beneath the sand. He died like anyone else. And now he went beneath the sand. May the Trinity give thee a merciful day of judgment. And like all, he will be judged for his actions. Wow. We all must face that Libra, that Ma'at, and be weighed upon the scales. Interesting. Let us continue. We are now going to go to Lorca, 3 tragedies. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Federico Lorca? Inspire us. No, I'll be busy all night with the irrigating. There is very little water. Wow, I read this one the other day. It's mine till sunup, and I've got to guard it from thieves. I'll be busy with the irrigating all night, right? And if we read this one in succession with the previous soar taste, we gain something quite deep because, right, it is when we tend to the garden, we do what is necessary when it is darkest, so that when the light comes, we can truly take advantage of that beauty and that power, right? We are judged at all times, and our actions are what produce the future. And if we wish to bring about that day, we must call it forth. We must call it forth if we want that golden age to return. It is our actions that'll transform the earth. Wow. Interesting. All right, let us now go to Lord Byron. Selected poetry and letters. Muses, what is the message from Lord Byron? With all the while a cheek whose bloom was as mockery of the tomb, whose tints as gently sunk away as a departing rainbow's ray, an eye of most transparent light that almost made the dudgeon bright, and not a word of murmur, not a groan o'er his untimely lot. A little talk of better days, a little hope of mine own to raise, for I was sunk in silence lost. And in this last loss of all the most, and then the sighs he would suppress of fainting nature's feebleness, more slowly drawn, grew less and less. I listened, but I could not hear. I called, for I was wild with fear. I knew 'twas hopeless, but my dread would not be thus admonished. I called and thought I heard a sound. I burst my chain with one strong bound and rushed to him. I found him not. I only stirred in this black spot. I only lived, I only drew the accursed breath of dungeon dew. The last, the soul, the dearest link between me and the eternal brink, which bound me to my failing race, was broken in this fatal place. Wow, going through that death to its very bitter end. Wow. With all the while a cheek whose bloom was as a mockery of the tomb, whose tints as gently sunk away as a departing rainbow's ray, an eye of most transparent light that almost made the dungeon bright, and not a word of murmur, not a groan, or his untimely lot. A little talk of better days, a little hope of mine own to raise, for I was sunk in silence, lost in this last loss of all the most, and then the sighs he would suppress of fainting nature's feebleness. More slowly drawn, grew less and less. I listened, but I could not hear. I called, for I was wild with fear. I knew 'twas hopeless, but my dread would not be thus admonished. I called and thought I heard a sound. I burst my chains with one strong bound and rushed to him. I found him not. I only stirred in this black spot. I only lived, I only drew the accursed breath of dungeon dew. The last, the soul, the dearest link between me and the eternal brink, which bound me to my failing race, was broken in this fatal place. Wow. Broken in this fatal place. In that silence, locked away in the dark. Wild. Let us continue. We are now going to go to Magia by Alan Chapman. Muses, what is the message from Alan Chapman? Inspire us. As a human being, you go to sleep and then you wake up from that night's dream. But waking up in the spiritual sense is waking up from the dream of the human being in existence. Yet people think that if they are lucid and clear and they are paying attention, they are being mindful as a human being, then they are cultivating waking up, as if wakening is simply more of the same states. But this is just as equally being asleep as any other state that you might experience as a human being. Wow. Being as wide awake is as irrelevant as being asleep, right? Two poles of the same extreme. It is in that middle way that you find the true harmony and you seek the balance and you learn to move between them, to take advantage of the night and the day, right? As a human being, you go to sleep and then you wake up from that night's dream. But waking up in the spiritual sense is waking up from the dream of the human being in existence. In existence. So you're waking up from the dream and you're waking up from being awake. Yet people think that if they're lucid and clear and they are paying attention and they are being mindful as a human being, then they are cultivating waking up, as if awakening is simply more of the same states. It's nothing like here. Being wakeful, mindful, it's not the same. This is something that a lot of people, Orpheus teaches that the greatest sin is forgetfulness. And this is largely true. You have to remember, you have to know not to drink from the river of forgetfulness, and you have to push forward to that lake of memory. And you must recognize that you are a children of the stars and rise to that stardom. Shed that titanicness, transform the self like the bright Virgo. But this is not the same as normal mindfulness. It's not enough to simply remember. That ionic memory is something far, far greater. And it is about cultivating that arati, that middle way. That's how you truly get there. You have to be embodied and understand and know the self and transform and overcome that titanic nature, right? Interesting. Let us continue. The Bell Jar, Sylvia Plath. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Sylvia Plath? Inspire us this evening. You are a long way from home. The sailor put his arm around my waist, and for a long time we walked around the common like that, the sailor stroking my hips through the green dirndl skirt, and me smiling mysteriously and trying not to say something that would show I was from Boston and might at any moment meet Miss Willard or one of my mother's other friends crossing the common after tea on Beacon Hill or shopping in Filling's basement. You sure are a long way from home. Living in that fantasy, right? Allowing oneself to be someone else in a moment, to engage in that frivolity, to meet up with someone like a sailor who you know is going to be moving on, and you can just have that dalliance, that pleasure, nothing more, nothing less, right? Mutual fun for mutual reward. But there's something about these kind of things, right? You sure are a long way from home. We are a long way from home. We are a long way from home. And home is that ionic life, that realm that must be striven for, right? Yeah, we are here mucking around in the mud. And it may be for mutual pleasure, for mutual enjoyment. It may be fantasy. But we are a long way from home, are we not? When do we return? Let us continue. Brave New World. Muses guide my hand. What is the message from Aldous Huxley in Brave New World? The nurse stood irresolute, looking now at the kneeling figure by the bed, the scandalous exhibition, and now, poor children, at the twins who had stopped their hunting of the zipper and were staring from the other end of the ward, staring with all their eyes and nostrils at the shocking scene that was being enacted around bed 20. Twins. The nurse with the twins. And that divine nurse energy is that Hecate. And the twins, we know the twin energy, Apollo and Artemis. Two sides of the same coin, the moon and the sun, night and day. Beautiful, powerful energy. Wow. Who had stopped hunting for the zipper, who had stopped hunting for the zipper, and now we're watching, we're engaging with what? With humanity. Engaging with what about humanity? Some kind of erotic play happening in bed 20. Even the gods succumb to this, right? Fall prey to those pleasures and fancies. We all do. It's not about falling for it. It's about striving beyond it, right? It's about taking it into account and moving in flow and properly moving in that loving connection through life, right? Interesting. Let us continue. We are now going to go to The Divine Comedy by Dante. Muses, what is the message from Dante? Inspire us. She began again, continuing without delay, directing her speech with its sharp point towards me, whose edge had seemed keen to me. Oh, you who are on that side of the sacred stream, tell me if it is true. Your confession must meet the charge. Being rebuked by the dead through that voice, calling out for justice across the river stream. Tell me if it is true. Your confession must meet the charge. Wow. Interesting. Let us now go to The Telltale Heart and Other Writings by Edgar Allan Poe. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Edgar Allan Poe? The body was covered with a straight, silky hair, perfectly white. The tail was peaked like that of a rat and about 1.5 feet long. The head resembled a cat's, with the exception of the ears. These were flopped like the ears of a dog. The teeth were of some brilliant scarlet as the claws. Whoa. The body was covered with straight, silky hair, perfectly white. The tail was peaked like that of a rat and about 1.5 feet long. The head resembled a cat's, with the exception of the ears. These were flopped like the ears of a dog. The teeth were of the same brilliant scarlet as the claws. Some kind of unknown monster, but now lies dead, to be understood and examined. No longer as monstrous as it was. Interesting. Wild. A chimera. Yes, indeed. Okay. Let's now go to Don Juan in Hell by Shaw. Muses, what is the message from Shaw? Inspire us. And therewith the parlor reveals a man in the void, an incorporeal but visible man, seated absurdly enough on nothing. For a moment he raises his head as the music passes him by. Then with a large, heavy sigh, he droops in utter dejection, and the violins, discouraged, retrace their melody in despair, and at last give it up, extinguished by wailings from uncanny wind instruments. Wow. Incorporeal but visible. This makes me think of Hades, the unseen one. Idonius. Seated absurdly enough on nothing. Seated on nothing. At this point, he does not have his throne, I take it. He does not have the quarry. For a moment, he raises his head as the music passes him by. Then, with a heavy sigh, he droops in utter dejection. And the violins, discouraged, retrace their melody in despair, and at last give it up, extinguished by wailings from uncanny wind instruments thus. Oh, wow, I think we're seeing the other side of that story. You know, we always talk of how Demeter wails for the loss of Persephone. But I believe there we were seeing great Hades wailing for the loss of Persephone, for when she is away from the underworld, when she is above in the earth, causing the bright seasons. Interesting. Interesting, you know? And it makes me think of our own world, right? Virgil in his Eclogues prophesizes that that great virgin will return from the stars to the earth. And this will bring about a new golden age, right? A beautiful, beautiful, loving, powerful age. But this will also signify a loss. This will signify a loss for the stars, right? That Virgo must fall from the stars. Wow. All right, we're now going to go to my tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. And if you are at all interested in a private reading, please reach out, snappydtts@gmail.com, or find me on the Myth and Lore Discord, Snappy or Lady Snappy. And today we're going to be using the Terramundi Tarot of Emmeline. And we are going to be invoking the energy of Saturn and asking them to dissect our life, to cut it up and put it upon the plate, to show us the interconnections. And we ask, how do we rise above the conflicts? How do we best move and flow? How do we enact our true will? And what is the greater message for our community? All right. And while I was flipping, a card shot out. The Empress. The Empress. Beautiful energy, the Empress. This was our significator the other day, the Empress. And the Empress is that universal energy, the absolute feminine in its totality, in all of its variation, both Aphrodite Urania and Aphrodite Pandemos, right? She is that absolute virgin energy in the stars, transcendent above all. And she is that goddess in the earth, lover of creation, who is engaged with all. Beautiful, powerful energy. And it reminds us to embody that natural generation, to embrace multiplicity, to embrace creation and variety, to see things in their differences, right? Beautiful, profound energy because she creates all difference. She is the absolute creatrix. Out of herself is born the variety of all. And look at this. Connected to her, we have today's significator, the Fool, that Dionysus energy, that energy of taking the leap into creation, of chasing after that loving, passionate, lustful energy, of going and finding that other half, that companion who together you can reform and remake the universe. Beautiful, beautiful energy, right? Learning to embody that fool, that one who takes the leap, the one who has the audacity to try, the one who sees the absurdity of life and laughs, who admits they don't understand and goes forward anyway, embraces the new with the totality of his being. Wow, where does this go? Beautiful, the Hanged Man. There's a trial here. And to embody the Fool, what I'm seeing is we're seeing a full. What I'm seeing here is that this journey, the Empress, learning to connect to that nature, to embody the nature, to engage in that flow, to become that chorus leader and to take that leap. We have to go through this transformation. We have to learn to listen and to hear, to engage with that muse energy and to make the changes necessary, right? The Hangman is always about rising to gain perspective, to gaze into that abyss, and then to make an active change. You then have to climb down from that tree. You then have to come back from the trial and make and transform your life in a new direction, right? You have to take that leap. You have to chase after that energy, moving and creating with nature, right? And this is what it's all about, embracing that nature, embracing the natural world, you know? And we need to do this through sitting and listening and being in the silence, sacrificing into the silence. You know, I've been doing a lot of reading about the silence, and I was looking into, there's a great biography on Numa by Plutarch. And Numa was the second emperor of Rome, well, king of Rome, well before Rome was even anything but just a small city state after Romulus. And it was Numa who first brought Muta, Tacita, and the Muses. It was him who truly connected to that energy. And to do it, he had to take a vow of silence. He had to sit in the silence. He had to sacrifice his speech in order to hear, right? In order to hear the Muses. And that was his hangman moment, right? And we all need to be in that kind of energy, giving up what is unnecessary so that we can connect to that natural law, that empress, that muse, and we can chase after her with that loving adoration of that Dionysus. All right, let's continue. Connected to that empress is the Six of Cups, pleasure. Following this natural flow, being with that empress, listening and discovering that muse is going to bring incredible reciprocal loving energy. This is where we're meant to go. This is that middle path. And this is that path of flowing and reciprocity and embracing love in mutual exchange and connection. Beautiful energy. Wow. It's not simply just the six, but it's the three, 6 in the cups. We have that middle way, that perfected way where we're going to have the stable, expansive energy that will connect with us and be with us. But we also have that abundant, explosive energy, right? That energy that is going to continue to push us into creation, that's going to connect with others. And so much of that water, that profound, loving, flowing, emotional connection. Wow. We had 369 at the top, my friends. 369. This is not a cup. This is discs. The 9 of discs. When we embrace all of this loving energy, when we can be in that creative abundance, when we can connect with these loving, creative energies that will produce that abundance, that will manifest and produce that success, we can then transform and create that 9. Recognize that the 9 is even more powerful than the 10 in this regard. While the tower is not completed, we are in that moment of inspiration, of expansive growth, where that 9 will continue to produce more and more and more energy. Wow, beautiful. I love to see it. So much incredible, powerful, reciprocal, loving energy and creative energy. We just have to embrace that natural flow. We have to be that fool, and we have to go through the trials and make active changes. All right, let's continue. Who's that empress but the lover? This is about a partnership and a connection, a transformative love and connection that produces new creation, new, loving, expansive joy and abundance. No wonder we see the joy. No wonder we see the gain. No wonder we see the love, the pleasure. It all comes out of that love for that empress, that muse, that earth, that nature. Wow, beautiful. Where's this going? And for that love, from that love, connected to that love is the Princess of Cups, that divine child, right? Those lovers come together for the creation of new emotional growth. No wonder we see this princess, because we have the 6 and we have the 3 of Cups. And she is that cup energy, that wateriness of the water that produces that flowing abundance. And together in that loving energy, we can give her the nurturing that she needs so that she can also grow and become that empress as well. Beautiful, profound energy. Where is this going? And this is faded energy, my friends. This is faded energy. Fortune's turning. Fortune is turning. Things are changing. This is about following the synchronicities. You know, this love was destined to come together. This is the result. I was talking about this in the sortes. This is the result of that work we have done, right? That work we have done. You know, earth of water, do what you do in the earth, producing that loving flow, right? That leads to that abundance, into that pleasure. You know, fortune, like the star card, in some ways you can't affect fortune. Fortune is what happens, but at the same time, fortune is a result of one's actions, a result of everyone's actions, result of everyone's actions, right? So it's beautiful, profound energy. And learning to embrace that love, we can really connect and we can move and adapt to this change. We can give birth to that Princess of Cups that is going to bring that transformation and bring that 9 of growth, bring that 6 of pleasure, and the 3 of abundance. Wow. We just have to be foolish enough to try, right? One of the things with the princess energies is trying to raise them, trying to protect them is an impossible task in many ways. You will never be good enough, but you must try to be. And that's why it's so beautiful to see that fool energy here, because the fool is the one who tries to be, who believes they are good enough. Right? Who goes forward, who overcomes those doubts, right? Who goes through the transformation, who can connect to that natural flow, right? Who will pursue love. Remember, in the classical thought, you see that fool, the energy is coming from the genitals because they're chasing after that lust, that procreative generation, that physical love. And that energy is powerful and important and brings new life, new generation, and creation. Will bring that princess. And again, it's about learning to adapt and to change and to embrace the fortune, right? To transform and to climb down from that tree. All right. We are now going to look at all of our cards here. Flip my camera. And please, once again, give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, reach out, Snappy, ddts@gmail.com. All right. So let's start with that fool energy, right? It's that fool energy that pursues that love. And by pursuing that loving abundance, can nurture and raise the child, can give birth to the child, has that strength to transform and to see that new generation, right? Fundamentally, Dionysus is a god of generation, right? The fruit of the vine. Earth and water, right? Powerful energy. Beautiful. Let's continue. That empress, that nature, that divine feminine. When we can be in connected with that energy in that loving reciprocal flow, we will be pursuing that middle path, that pleasure, that deep, profound connection. This is a true will love. This is a love that's meant to be in this moment, right? This is a deep, reciprocal, engaging connection of equals in balance. Wow, profound. When we look at the hangman, when we can adapt to the changing of fortune, when we can become what we need to, when we can rise to the occasion, we can produce that 9 of gain. I immediately think of Christine de Pizan anytime I see fortune, that fortuna, because she was so intense with that fortuna energy. Check out her book, The Mutability of Fortune. Beautiful writing. And in it, she talks about how she had to transform herself and become a man, right? She had to become a man because it was needed. She had to fight for her legal rights to gain her wealth after her husband passed. She had to take care of her mother, her children, and her cousins. She had to fight and become a defender of women, a knight in the court of the king. And she had to become a writer and a philosopher, creating the book of the City of Ladies, challenging the thought of her day and making people see things from a greater perspective. And it was all about adapting to that fortune, right? Had she not faced the incredible hardship and the incredible loss of her husband, not that I'd wish that on anyone, had she not faced that, she never would have been forced to go through the ordeal. She never would have gone through that hangman moment and transformed herself, and never would have produced that gain. We never would have got a book of the City of Ladies, nor the book of the Mutability of Fortune. That all happened because of the pain of transformation and the fact that she could rise to meet it. And that's always what this energy is about. Rising to meet, adapting, adapting and overcome. And if you can adapt and overcome, what we see here, the Empress is the reward. Love is the reward. New generation is the new generation is the reward. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful energy. All right, let's look at our crosses. Right? If we can rise to the occasion to take care of and nurture this princess with that energy of the Empress, being that divine feminine, building in the earth, connected to that generative energy, being in that flow, then we can build that tower. We can manifest gain, abundance, transformative growth, growth that can be shared in charity, growth that will transform the world around us, right? Beautiful energy, beautiful energy. But we have to nurture that princess. We have to rise to the occasion. We have to be that empress, embodied in the earth, building in flow, being that great mother, right? Seeing things from the multiplicity of perspectives, understanding the multiplicity of that divine feminine in all of its glory, right? In all of its variation. And the fact that it creates new variation. All right. And again, we overcome fortune through that love. We adapt and we can rise and be that empress when we embrace that loving abundance, when we pursue that loving abundance. And it's all about connecting in that flow, learning to flow with the universe, with that nature, learning to adapt to the whims of Fortuna. And when we can do that, true greatness comes. That true love, that middle path, that divine child, that incredible gain, that loving abundance. That's the message, everyone. I hope it resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. All right. Let us do one final soar taste and we'll call it an evening. We're going to go now to Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Muses, what is the message from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland? Inspire us. The way Dina washed her children's faces was this. First, she held the poor thing down by its ears with one paw, and then with the other paw, she rubbed its face all over the wrong way. Beginning at the nose, just now, as I said, she was hard at work on the white kitten, which was lying quite still and trying to purr, no doubt feeling that it was all meant for its good. All meant for its good, right? Sometimes in order to become clean, right, that mother has to push us through the trials, has to scrape us, right? Has to clean us, has to make us go through something. Wow. And what do? We need to listen. We need to lie quite still and listen. Take it and recognize what it's for, our own good. All right. Thank you, everyone. That was a beautiful reading. Thank you for joining me. And I hope I see you again tomorrow for more live tarot and sortes. Peace and love. Take care.